Hi, welcome to the stream. To this video, I will go through some mechanics on the first boss in Shadowmoor as a range class, or in this case as a warlock. What you have to think about at this boss is the crystals that are spawning. The three people has to grab the crystal, and they will disappear. Only one will remain, and that is the so-called real crystal. That is important for the mechanics. Those three people who has taken a crystal will do the lightning share that the boss will do later in the mechanics, and the real crystal will actually give up a bubble, a kind of shield, which you have to enter. And if you are not a person with who has taken any crystals, you have to stand a bit further away so you don't get to share the lightning or the conduct. Also, you have to drive this boss, and how the driving works is the closest person to the tank, to the boss will get the mark, except for the tank. The tank will just keep on tanking the boss. So if you don't want to get the mark, make sure you don't stand close to the boss. We will go through that a little bit slowly, and I will rewind the video and stuff like that, so we can go through everything an extra time. So what we start here is you can see these smaller circle areas that appears here. Those will be a driver place for the boss, because three crystal will appear between them. It's like one here, and one down here. You can't really see that on the map. These small circles that appears here on the map are actually these that you can see on the ground. So driver spot is always to these ones, and crystals will always appear between them, three of them between them. So you decide on which person grabs which crystal. And these will open up where you have to drive the boss randomly, kind of randomly. It depends on which one is the real crystal. And what you have to do if you drive, you have to drive. Uh, it's a bit different each time because it depends on where the real crystal is. And let's say if the real crystal appears here, and this one on the ground, or this one on the ground, will actually be a driver spot that is open, and one that is further away sometimes, maybe this one, will also open up. So that means if real crystal appears here, this driver spot on the ground is open, and this one is the driver spot that is open, and the boss is in the middle. What you have to do when you drive is you drive the boss first of all to the furthest uh, area on the ground that opens up first. And then you drive him back to mid, and if this is the real crystal that appears here and there is another ground open up here, you drive the boss to this spot. So when you do the conduct later, you will line up to this crystal that appears here. And the boss will be here doing a conduct. A bubble will appear at that crystal, the real crystal, and you will enter it. So that's how it goes if you're driving. So let's say if you drive the wrong way, this one on the ground is open, this one on the ground is also open, and the crystal appears here. The real crystal appears here. And if you drive it wrong to this one first, go back to mid and drive to this one, you would be too far away to actually do a conduct across the map to reach the real crystal for the bubble to appear. So you have to think about how you drive. And also, there was something more I was going to mention, but Yeah, in hard mode or in the real mechanics, what you have to do is you actually have to drive the boss on each of the lighting up spot on the ground. If you don't do that, and the boss hasn't like reached that circle, it will also be a wipe. So the driver has a really important job. So let's go through this. Because I'm not a driver, I would just grab a crystal and get into my position for the lightning. And let's say if you don't do the mechanics for the crystal, you just evade all the attacks, don't get any crystal, and just stand far away when it comes to the lightning sharing moment. So let's go through with this. So the the boss will actually do his normal attacks, and if you're ranged, you don't have to care much about this. You just stand far away and just DPS the boss. What you have to think about is these cross lines, red lines that appear. The tank is facing that way, so the boss is always having his crossing attacks to the left and to the right of him, and the next one will always be at the front and at the back of him. So if you think about your position of to the boss, if you are always at a 45-degree away from the back of the boss or from the front of the boss, like you have his back leg here, his tail here, and his left side here, you will always be safe in this angle, like a pizza, let's say a pizza slice, a quarter pizza. This will always be safe, that will always be safe, that up here will always be safe, and here. So you don't have to worry about these lines that appear. So and if you are like standing in front of the boss, stand like 45 degrees away from him. So you like look at his, let's say, eye or something, or his chin, and you will always be safe. And he will also do a red AoE attack in mid and spawn some red AoE attacks on the ground that appears around him, and just stay far away from him. You don't have to worry about those attacks either, because as a range, you have enough meters to actually DPS the boss and still evade the attacks. So the cross attack appeared. That pizza slice that is red that appears, it depends on how the tank is tanking the boss, and he is going to drive it in a safe place. And since we all know how the tank works and how he tanks, so we don't have to worry about that one either. Now the red AoE in mid, red AoE in mid, nothing you have to worry about. And you can see now that we have DPS'd him down further to a 19%, more than 90%. The crystals will spawn, as I said, one here, and one here, and these will light up depending on which one is the real crystal. So you can see it lights up here on the ground, on this platform or on this area, but not at this one. So that means that if this one is the one that is light up and this one is not light up, that means that this one is lit up. So now these two are lit up. It depends on which one of these. It's either, yeah, it depends which one of these are the real crystal. So you have to drive the boss to each one of these first. You have to think about that. So let's take a crystal and see what happens. This is not a real crystal. You would just get the crystal buff here. That is for the lightning, for the conduct. And this one is gone. So that means this one or this one will be the real crystal. And this was the spot that was let open. So if you drive the boss to that spot first, that means the boss will actually be able to do a conduct both this way and both that way when you have driven him back to the mid and driven him back to this spot. Also, you can see the red circles here appearing on the ground, standing always his tail, his left side, right side at this 45 degree angle, you will always be safe. Just keep on DPSing the boss. And as you can see, he's going. If you're standing close to the boss, after the red AoE circle moments that appeared, you will get the mark. And this guy here, the Blade Dancer, got the mark, so he's going to drive him to this spot. And you see that this was the real crystal. The one that was over here, it's taken, and it would create a circle attack that expands, and you get knocked back if you don't jump over it, so make sure that you jump over it or iframe it. So this crystal is actually still here after you have grabbed it, so that means this is the real one. Also, as I said, if you have the tail face here, left, right, and left here, you will always be safe in this 45 degree. He will do his tail swipe attack. That is one time at his back and one time at his front. And then he would do a larger rotating tail swipe attack. That last hit will knock you back, so you can either iframe it or block it. These two tail swipes at the 180 degree doesn't hurt you. You can face tank it as long as you just iframe the last hit. So you don't have to care about these two. It's front and back, and now that's the third one. I will use my block and try to block it. See, that is much larger, but you can block it or iframe it. Now he will be driven back to mid. Always stand in the 45 degree angle, safe. And the Blade Dancer grabbed the last crystal. The last one remaining is the real one. So next drive will actually be at the top here, where the ground is still lit up, because the boss has to reach that platform and nullify that area. Tail swipe front and back and block the third one, or iframe it. Stand 45 degree to be on the safe side. And now when he has reached this spot and the area is cleansed, or nullified, you have to get ready for position for the conduct position. The one who has the real crystal will be grabbed by the boss, so he will be the closest. No matter where you stand, he will always pull you towards him. And the rest of the people who has grabbed the crystal has to stand in a line to share the conduct. And before this lightning share and before the conduct, the one who has the mark will actually get a red cone pizza attack on him, so you can drive it, because that attack will freeze you in place. So, but if you iframe it, you can also get free from that spot, from that routing. You will get routed at that spot. So the one driving, if you don't want to get it, or you're maybe not driving and you know who is driving, make sure that when it's a combat lightning phase, don't stand close to him, because that red cone attack will appear around him. So you see that red cone attack, so don't stand close to him, just be far away from him, and he will get rooted if you get hit by this attack. So that's why he is trying to SS or dash away from it when it lands. And the one getting the real crystal is getting closest, and the rest will be in position for a certain amount distance so the lightning can be shared. We will all get rooted, so you can't choose your spot after this. Make sure you're in right spot. Now here's the safe bubble for the room-wide AoE attack. Just enter it before it happens, and then the attack rotation will go back to normal like before. So the crystal appears. Make sure you grab your crystal. You will also get rooted when you have grabbed your crystal. So SS or dash away or iframe away from the rooting or after the rooting. Now jump over that because the real crystal is over here. Driving will be the same. Avoiding this cross attack, it's tail swipe afterwards. 1 and 2 can face tank them, but block the third or iframe the third. Now the driving will go back to mid. Front and back and block or iframe. Get into position for the conduct share or lightning share. And here we go. And let's say you are not a person who wants to get the conduct or has the conduct who took the crystal. What's the safe spot is you can actually stand behind the crystal down here somewhere or like to the right or left of it depending on which crystal it is, but in this case maybe stand around here. Make sure that you evade that red cone attack and you will be safe around here at this spot because the circles for the conduct is kind of big. So if you stand like at the back here, you can just SS into the crystal later, or stand like to the right of it here and you can also SS into the crystal later. So we all get rooted. The one who grabbed the real crystal gets grabbed by the boss. Enter the bubble and you will be safe. That's how it goes. If there are any questions, just send me a message or something. Uh, Make sure if you're range, just stand far away. And if you're a melee class, make sure that you don't get the mark for the driving. Just stand a bit further away when the marking moment happens or driving moment happens, and you should be fine. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon.